Hi, everybody. I am here today with one of my amazing clients, Nicole Christensen. She went through almost right at 2 years, right, Nicole, of my program. And we're just going to have a little conversation and she's going to give you some feedback on what she experienced. So I'm just going to ask her some questions and let her introduce herself. Um, Nicole, I'm just so grateful to have you here and have done all this work with you. I know it was pretty intense for a while, and 2 years is a long time, but I want you to just give people just your experience. So, my first question is really just what did you try previously, up till the point that you were working with me? Or what brought you into me, I guess, is where we should start. Like, what were you? Can you give me an example of where you were before we started, and just kind of tell me what brought you into me?
Sure. Facebook did suggest you as a friend, interestingly enough, and I started following you for a few months and reading posts, and some of it really resonated with me. The questions, the quotes, the advice, um, this this idea that there were different approaches to handling anxiety and stress and overwhelm, and that other people felt confusion and had pain, and that there might be something I'd never heard of to address it. Previously, I'd hit what I would call burnout about 2.5 years ago. And I knew I had to make some radical changes. I was definitely ready and looking for something different. Interestingly, it was probably not something that others around me really noticed, which is interesting, but I felt like I was doing all the right things, working out 4 times a week, eating the 5 fruits and vegetables a day, having only a positive attitude, saying yes to a bunch of things. And I was a little bit miserable with no real outward reason for it. And that kind of made me feel ridiculous, but I knew I wanted to address it. I didn't feel like I was thriving. I was on autopilot a lot. I did start to see that, and I was just full of confusion. And I had some anxiety that I hadn't fully recognized yet, and just kind of felt hopeless. I was feeling crushed and empty all at the same time, and knew it wasn't where I wanted to be. I also had, for physical pain, I had shoulder and back pain. I wasn't able to sit at my desk as long. I wasn't able to drive in the car to meetings that were further away. It was definitely impacting my work, and just how I felt on a daily basis.
And so with the pain and stuff and the anxiety, so that was kind of the main stuff that was bothering you in your body, and you were just ready to not feel this anymore. Is that kind of what was going on? Do you remember where the awareness came in for you that was like, hey, I'm on autopilot? Like, do you remember having that awareness that you were on autopilot, or did you just realize it after we were working? Do you remember where that came from?
I would say most of that awareness came afterwards, but I do know I was very confused. I think that was probably the only clear thing I could convey at the time, was just I didn't know what was important to me versus what was important to everyone else around me. Really distinguishing all these expectations and judgments, and whether it was mine or someone else's. I was just confused and kind of miserable because of that confusion.
What was your experience, or what has been your experience with this program, specifically, being able to use the integrative approach and the punchline approach and the way that I taught you how to do things differently? Like, what has your experience been? Like, what has the, outcome been for you as far as that goes?
Yeah, so I feel like after plowing through life and suppressing anything but only positive feelings, I started to uncover how my mind and my body were actually working, how they were working together, how sometimes they were working to sabotage me, probably to protect me, as well as those expectations and comparisons and stories that I mentioned. I just started to slowly uncover that. I mean, after 39 years of being alive, I wasn't sure what my priorities were versus someone else. And I just felt like I was constantly disappointing myself and others, and just needed a better way. Um, this technique and these programs absolutely showed me that. What's great to see is my back and shoulder pain have gone away almost completely, except when stress shows up. And one of the many gifts that I've received is how to deal with stress. because it is a part of life. But I now have such a better ability and a lower amount of daily stress consistently for quite a while now that I've been doing this for so long. And then for me, I worked on some things for a few months. Like I tried to think of some examples. Like I had anxiety while I was driving. At work, I had looming deadlines and expectations that were just, instead of driving me, they were kind of paralyzing me, and I was not functioning at the highest level at work. Even something like getting back on a mountain bike after falling or really struggling, those things I worked on for a few months with you. And then other things like certain really important relationships or my complicated history with food and cooking and exercise and body image, that I still work on to this day, and probably will going forward, because these are things that are important to me. I just was amazed at the amount of progress I made at work, for example. It was kind of my learning lab for applying some of this stuff. And I had a lot of fun with it. I was amazed at my productivity increase, my efficiency. I mentioned that lower daily stress every day when I sit down at my home office. That really gives me a chance to be more productive with that lower stress going into each day. I've been able to be there for my team, sign up for special projects, and this benefits my employer, but I enjoy what I do. I work for a great company. I really care about it, and it was not feeling sustainable for a bit there, and now it definitely is, and I'm just feeling better about work, than I have in a long time. So yeah, it's been really interesting, and that's been one of my biggest benefits is directly at work.
I love that for you. So would you say that this helped you with the burnout that you were experiencing and kind of reverse that and give you the tools to know how to move forward?
Absolutely. I knew that if I was going to spend this much time and energy, I wanted to have a real change so that I wouldn't approach burnout. Or if I do start to, I recognize it very early, and I know where maybe I'm not doing some of my great habits, or I'm not, doing something for myself. Perhaps there's always, if it starts to feel a little, if I start to feel a little burned out, I always know there's something I can do to address it, and I don't get overwhelmed or feel like it's hopeless anymore at all. I have such a better way of managing that and keep kind of staving it off for the long term that I really know is working.
So good, so good. Was there anything that you already knew, like logically, like book wise? You had the information on, you had maybe even studied some of it before, but you hadn't learned how to use it for yourself, like actually embodied it in a visceral space where like it just became second nature and you lived it. Like, was there anything particular that you remember you knew here, but maybe you hadn't lived here?
Mm-hmm. Honestly, I think I have relooked at everything. I think that's one of the really amazing things about this program is that it allows me to look at everything in a different light. So I don't know if I have any specifics that I thought of, but I just know that I was able to get almost under surface level on anything and everything. I I understand things. I don't know if I've ever understood anything viscerally before these last 2 years. I'm not sure I did,
Okay.
which is incredible. I that having that deeper understanding of what's important to me, how my mind and body are working together, and staying curious about exploring new things. Those three things are just gifts. Like I just can't stress that enough. And the life satisfaction that I have because of that is off the charts. And it's not that it's easy or that it's always, happy or fun. It's just a level of life satisfaction because of the way I can approach everything and anything that just, it's a game changer. I did put in some work between sessions. I think it's almost necessary, and it's certainly something you talk about from day one. So I wrote a few things down about, I really saw this time as I'm going to go all in on everything, on all of it. So certainly the most important and foundational things being the meditation and the journaling. So I'm almost to 52 weeks of meditation in a row. I think I'm at 49 weeks. I've got my app here. That was incredible. And then I was a little slower to pick up journaling, but that's the other thing that really makes strides between sessions. And when something's really important to me, I can see the benefit of journaling. So I wanted to mention, both of those. And I got into, podcasts and books, and then certainly the content and the resources that you have available through Facebook, through social media, as well as on your website. It's continuous support. And these are new concepts, and you feel kind of alone when you're doing it. And there's other clients that are trying to work on this stuff and asking questions, and that all just feels like a way to connect and feel like this isn't all going to be foreign forever. It's going to start to become more familiar. Other people are doing the same thing. And then certainly the information that you share as a coach from your real life is always some of those helpful.
Perfect. What had you done up until this point? Like, were there any particular things that you had tried? Certain programs or acupuncturist, or like anything that you were trying to work on the anxiety or the pain? Had you done anything before? Did you have a history of that kind of stuff at all?
A little bit. I knew that I wanted to try something, and the pain was kind of like the most obvious, like I can talk to someone else about it. So it's kind of where I started. I had tried physical therapy, which worked for a little while. And then around the time I hit my burnout, I did a few screens and scans for like anything wrong, physically, because I had shoulder pain, I had hip pain, and back pain. And there wasn't anything to diagnose. I saw 3 different doctors during about a 2.5-month period there. And then I did sign up for the chiropractor, which I still do 2.5 years later. And it was kind of neat. It was at the chiropractor that I've been able to see some of the real effects of the work I've been doing with you. I can see those in the scans and the labs that they do, and like the progress reports that the chiropractor does. That specifically the amount of stress and tension in my shoulder and my neck definitely have gone away. Certainly in part because of the chiropractor's work every week, but I know it was much improved and much faster because of the work I was doing with you, and it's lasted a long time. I mean, the things that cause my shoulder and neck pain, if it's just chiropractic work, it's going to keep cropping up. I'm not sure I'd make real progress, but the combination of these two has just been huge. Also, my chiropractor does heart rate variability, which I hadn't really heard of before, but what an interesting way to tell how my body's able to like adjust and deal with stress and just stay really resilient. And I have a pretty high number, and I've been working on it. I can feel it. So that's pretty cool too.
So thank you for that, because that's what we want. We want to be able to integrate with other modalities and help it move faster or easier or smoother, or give you a more long-lasting effect, or to have the tools to go back to. So that's perfect, that you're able to use these two together and get those maximum results for yourself. So that's perfect. Good job. Is there anything that you want to share, as far as ahas, or did this change your life? Did this add anything super amazing to your life or your experience? I mean, I heard you say, you've lived in ease and your job is easier and all that's amazing. But is there anything else that you want to add in, just final thoughts or any information, maybe for people that don't know anything about this or have no idea what I'm talking about, or, what would you say to those people if you could just give them your experience?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many benefits, small and big, for sure, in 2 years of coaching. I think I want to highlight the overarching theme of this mind-body connection that I was pretty much unaware of completely. And then just how deep this program goes with that. I'm convinced there's nothing else like it. It's next level for tapping into this knowledge, this wisdom, for learning how to generate my own energy, and for creating space, mental space. I've been able to create mental space. I've been able to create space in my life for what's important to me. I have notes. I keep looking at them because I really wanted this to come across. Emotional space, being there for the people in my life that I care about, it's also helped me with that. I mean, that's, if I had to kind of sum it up, those are some things that really come to mind. Physically, I've been able to see the stress dissipate in my shoulders and my neck. After about 6 months of working with you as my coach, I had put in the time to work through some stories and some confusions and hangups, without giving specifics. And I could see the results in my scans at the chiropractor. I could feel that confusion dissipate. I also went to the my annual physical and lowered my blood pressure after about a year and a half. My blood pressure was so much lower that we talked about, do I need maybe get off this 5 milligram prescription that I'm on, which is so exciting to see that. So I wanted to mention that as well. The results are felt in the people around me, in improved relationships, just my better ability to communicate with people and in situations that are really important to me, and clarity around my priorities. I think I mentioned that a few times, but that's been really game changing. And I'm able to do hard things, try new things, and then I'm having a lot more fun, which is definitely something I wrote down early on in this process. Like, I want to have more fun on a daily basis.
That's so good. It's so important to be able to have all of that available to you and to be able to watch you go from, struggling with the anxiety, feeling the pain, into living ease and flow, to truly embodying this work, to being able to respond in ease, in presence, and allow life to be different for you. That's such a huge thing for me. So thank you so much for trusting me all this time. It's so huge. I did have one more final thought because you've been in both spaces with me, and I'd just like a reflection from a client. I also offer, wellness retreats and in-person events. And also for my private clients, you guys get a little bit of extra stuff. You get a little craniosacral and some signature stuff from me as well. So would you give an example or just an experience of, an in-person event or a hands-on treatment, and just kind of reflect how that felt for you, or if there was anything, that you wanted to share about that?
Sure, that's a great one. I think I'd have to choose the cranial sacral therapy, which I hadn't ever heard of. And I honestly went in, Monique, you're such a very easy person to trust and feel safe around. So that's huge. I know you create that very intentionally. And so I went into your therapy space to have a cranial sacral treatment for the first time without really any expectations, but nothing, not even massage, feels anything close to the amount of calm that cranial sacral therapy brings to me. I joke that if I was rich and could pay for anything I wanted on a daily basis, like coaches and trainers and chefs, and I would pay for cranial sacral every single day. It's just a tremendous way to, it's bringing the body into homeostasis, which I didn't know what that meant. So I guess just the calm and just the steadiness that I feel after that treatment every time, no matter what's been going on, it's just my favorite thing.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Again, I just appreciate your time and your commitment to the program, because you really went all in and you gave it your all, and you reached out and you got what you needed. So you learned the punchline. And so I'm just so grateful to be the one that could have led you through that. So is there anything else that you want to share before we close this off? We've been on for a little while, so I think this is enough information, but I just want to give you one more opportunity. If there's anything else that you need to say or share or just feel led to do, go ahead and mention.
I did write some final thoughts. While the work was unfamiliar at first, I really trusted that the process would start to make sense, and I kept an open mind. I think that was really helped me out. And the process, I also wanted to share, in looking back, how empowering it is. So there is the outline, there is the punchline, there is tools and a lot of specific things that you show us and guide us through. And then when I really wanted to get to the bottom of something that I was struggling with, and it was important to me, both of those things were there. I had to do that work. And then you have this way of holding me accountable, mostly because you're doing this work yourself, and we're, talking once a week. And, if I'm not willing to go deep with it, it's not a good use of our time. And I just think that's such a great way to design this program. And again, those examples from your life, from you're living this day in and day out, and it's just so inspiring, and it helps keep me going when I feel like I'm kind of spinning or maybe have kind of plateaued in my progress, because it was very much a bit of a up and down, type of process through, especially through a 2-year period. And that is just so incredible. So it took a bit of time, but eventually it became apparent that there are substantial and lasting benefits of using this punchline approach and using these tools in any area in my life that I wanted to work on or that I really care about. It's applicable everywhere, and I don't know of really any other program that really that's true of. So I just wanted to share that as well.
We think so too, Nicole. Thank you for that feedback. That's one of the things that I've always believed, is that these steps can incorporate in so many different areas of life, and that you can use it all over the place. So um, I love that you also feel the same way. So thank you so much for that. I appreciate your time, and thank you so much.
Welcome, Monique. Thank you.
Thank you.